All right, welcome back to the second part of this week's Pro Football Doc podcast, March Madness podcast. Thankfully, there weren't a lot of injuries to talk about. One guy got hip checked. I forget who it was. And before I could even tweet something, I was like, he's going to be fine. And so let's hope we keep it that way. But a lot of good other topics today. I want to talk about Urban Meyer and honestly the differences between the NFL and college, uh, 3 feet and 6 feet, and we'll talk about LeBron a little bit, but then of course conclude with what happened here. We got a good one. Let's kick off here. We talked a little bit about Jacksonville Jaguars when I said they let a guy go that I thought was a very good athletic trainer, and that is something that might come back to bite him. Something else new came on as I find it here. Here we go. Um, let's see. Where do I? Here we go. So Urban Meyer is not a fan of the free agency thing. He says, quote, "That was awful." Three decades of coaching in college. His exact quote was, "Yeah, that was awful. I don't agree with it, but no one asked my opinion. I guess in the old days, you could bring them in and meet them, have dinner with them. You find out football intellect, find out character. Basically, you can't do that now, right?" And he didn't like it. But basically, he was saying in college, you could you bring guys in for visits and you can sit with them in the living room and you can talk to them and get to know them. There's no question that that is the case. There's no question that the more information that you get, I mean, it's like if you're in your job and you're hiring someone off a resume, or would you like to interview them as well, right? I mean, so I get Urban Meyer's point, and it's a good one, but obviously the way the NFL works, it doesn't work that way. Money talks and everything happens so quick. So my interpretation of what Urban Meyer is saying, and this is just my interpretation, so it could be spot on, it could be completely wrong, is that it's a different system. This speaks to some of the things. In college, you have complete and total control of and the guys have to fall in line. In the NFL, you have to win over the team, which is why I said maybe it would be smart to retain that really good athletic trainer. So it's not always about my guy, it's about the best guy. We talked about that in a podcast. And I'm not saying that Urban Meyer won't be successful. I'm just saying it's different in the NFL the way I've seen it. I worked at colleges with athletes and student athletes, and in the locker room in the NFL, it's different. They're all independent thinkers, and you have to win them over. And it's a different system, right? And I think a little bit what Urban Meyer is saying is, in some way, the system really sucked for him because he was an outsider. He doesn't have as many NFL contacts. He's been following college football, visiting college football campuses, doing the game day college stuff. He knows college and the draft probably better than most head coaches in the NFL. But in terms of pro player personnel, that's a different guy. Pro player personnel and college draft analyst is different. So the NFL guys are probably better pro player personnel guys because they played against this guy and with this guy, and they know that coach and they know this scheme. The NFL coaches don't know what scheme Texas runs on offense or defense, so it's harder to know. But they know what scheme the Texans run and if that player will fit in their offense or defense or not. It's pro player personnel thing. So that's where I think Urban was potentially at a disadvantage here because free agency is all about pro personnel, and he's not as used to that. And also, I would imagine there might be some old boys club slash maybe jealousy factor, or it is a who you know. Look, in the NFL, often you'd say, call up your buddy who's the linebacker coach somewhere and say, what's that guy really like? Right. And maybe Urban doesn't have the same connections in the NFL level, right? He hasn't gone to all the NFL combines where you meet, and down into the Senior Bowl games where you mingle with everyone and get to know people. And his time has been in college, which is a little different world versus the pros. And he probably also thought it was awful because he felt like he was shorthanded. A, compared to what he normally can do in college, but B, because he's not ingrained in this NFL system, which may make him super successful, right? Fresh outlook and not the groupthink that's in the NFL. But it probably was a lot harder to gather information. And I'll give you an analogy. As a team physician, before free agency or whenever there was a potential trade or something, often the GM would talk to the athletic trainer and then talk to me and say, tell me what the story is on this guy's hip, and or whatever. So let's say if you're the Giants and signing Kenny Golladay, and I don't know that this happened in New York, but this probably would have been what happened with the Chargers when I was there. The GM would quietly say, hey, find out what you can, and internet search, figure out what he has, because you're starting to make offers before you actually see them. You don't get the hands-on exam yet. And yes, you get the hands-on exam before they get their money and they pass their physical. But in that legal tampering window of 2 days, you don't get that opportunity. So it's a little bit of reconnaissance. And I've made phone calls before. And if I were with the Giants and the Giants did it the same way as the Chargers, I might have been calling my buddy, the doctor at John Anderson or any of the other doctors, and say, what was the deal with Kenny Golladay? Now, we'd say for continuity of care, so to avoid HIPAA, or, you try and get some information, basically like coaches call around the league, athletic trainers call around the league. And let me tell you, after I've been a few years in the NFL, I was able to do that a lot more efficiently than in the first few years. In the first few years, I trained with the guy in Minnesota. I knew the guy in Cleveland, but I didn't have as much of a broad reach. But as we played other teams, got used to them, was in the, and I had been to a few combines, so we sort of knew the Bengals doctor to my left and the Jets doctor here and the Titans doctor and the Jaguars doctors, because we shared a room at the combines. But the more people you got to know, the more tentacles, the more sources, the more, hey, off the record, the more trust. And Urban's going to get that, obviously. He just hasn't been in that world. And that's probably what made it harder, or quote, more awful for Urban, the transition, but also, the difference. But who knows? Maybe that'll give him a unique perspective that he's going to excel at it. But that's kind of the deal with that. My thoughts on why it was so awful for Urban Meyer. The next thing I want to talk about here, and please don't get upset at me, I'm just talking about this because it's something that I think is important, and there are lessons to be learned from football and what have you. So the CDC has just come out and said they're relaxing social distance guidance for schools. It used to say 6 feet, now it is 3 feet, but a couple things on that. Number one, there's nothing absolute. It's not like if you're 3 feet 1 inch, you're 100% safe, and you're 2 feet 11 inches, and now it's a problem. It's, the direction you're facing, the airflow, indoors, outdoors, if you're symptomatic, if you're shedding virus, viral load. So there's no magic. It's sort of like saying, if you give yourself 5 car lengths in front of you, you'll never rear end someone or get in a car accident. That's just not true. You're safer if you have 5, don't tailgate, and you have 5 car lengths in front of you. 1 car length per 10 miles an hour, or whatever they say in driver ed training. That's sort of this 3 feet, 6 feet thing. It's not always 6 feet. It's not always 3 feet. It's just guidelines, right? And now they're saying 3 feet indoors for students seems to be okay. And I'm not knocking the CDC. Don't write me, whatever. Look, I get it. Initially, you said 6 feet because you wanted to be safer, but now you're saying 3 feet is okay because you're seeing it. I get it. I'm just saying that this is a quantum change, and I think the NFL possibly helped drive it. And here's how: because there was no across the line of scrimmage transmission, even though everyone was tackling each other. And yeah, I get it, the NFL tests and the whole deal, but still, closed spaces is a different story. And teaching in school is a closed space. But here's what I found interesting. Two things I found very interesting. First of all, the 3 feet designation the CDC says is there's confidence that 3 feet of physical distance is safe. They made no comment about direction. I mean, to me, students back to back within 1 feet, not facing each other, is safer than 3 feet facing each other, right? I mean, because of airflow and what have you. If you're back to back, your airflow's away from each other. That's a whole different point. They're not making the distinction for grade school kids or others. They're treating kindergartners, second graders, sixth graders, eighth graders, and 12th graders as the same, which here's why I think is significant. I think it's been known for a while that young kids have a harder time on Zoom, and young kids don't seem to get it. Maybe they can transmit it. You got to be careful of the teachers. I get all of that. But we haven't had kids getting themselves. Now they bring it home to mom and dad and grandma, grandpa. Yeah, that's something to worry about. But at least the kids don't. But the interesting thing here is that what the CDC said isn't, okay, we're good with grade school kids because we don't see that. They were okay with high schoolers. And medically, it's not the age of 18 where you're an adult. I mean, medically, yes, children's hospitals will take care of you till you're 18 or 21. We have the 21-year-old drinking and the 18-year-old to vote, and 18, you're an adult. But medically, you're an adult, at least orthopedically, when you stop growing. So that can be the age of 13, 14 for sure, right? Depending on guy, girl, development, et cetera. You're an adult, really. I mean, sports medicine is the same. When your growth plates are closed and you tear your ACL, whether you're 14, whether you're 18, or whether you're 24. So that, honestly, the CDC guidelines, I'm wondering if they're going to expand that to college. And if you extend that to college, where does the line stop? Is it 25-year-olds, 21-year-olds, 30-year-olds? It's going to be relative. Are we going to get something where you say, look, school age kids under 18, it's 3 feet, and college, it's 4 feet. And then the workplace for healthy 40-year-olds, it's 4 feet, but grandma, grandpa, it's 6 feet or 12 feet. I mean, I don't know, right? So I'm just saying this is interesting. It has lots of implications and thoughts as to what is going to happen. But the biggest thing that I think people haven't talked about here is plastic shields or barriers between desks can be removed. We don't have a lot of evidence of their effectiveness. That, I think, was something that was hidden in all of this. So I'm personally excited because my second graders, now soon to be third graders, I mean, with a mask and a shield and 6 feet, first of all, I don't even know how they were going to go back to school, public school, but I mean, with the shield in the way, I mean, that makes it very hard to see and hear. I mean, I kid you not, my nephew, I won't say school, suffice it to say, my nephew attends a high-end, very sought-after private school. And he takes the school private bus to go to school. He showed up in class a few minutes late, but it was the school supplied bus that was late. And this was a day he was supposed to be in class. He's not always in class. And he told me, and I'm not trying to call out the school, so I won't go there, but Christian, I guarantee you know what school I'm talking about, okay? And his teacher said all the spots were taken in the classroom. And since you're late, you have to sit in the hallway. So he sat in the hallway, couldn't see the screen because he was, off angle, couldn't really hear because the teacher had a mask on and he's got a mask on. He's sitting on the ground in the hallway, and the price of tuition at this school is more expensive than most colleges. This is my nephew. And I'm like, the silliness. And where I felt bad, Christian, for him is he's new to this school. He's a freshman. He transferred in. This school starts at a younger grade. He doesn't know anyone because of the pandemic. And imagine, think back to your freshman year, like the awkwardness and the whole thing. And now the poor kid that doesn't really know is made to sit in the hallway. I don't know. Don't get me started. Obviously, you already did. Sorry about that. Suffice it to say, I hope we can safely do a lot of different things and just have some logic. What else? In the offseason here, the Saints did, after all, get docked a 6th-round draft pick for their locker room celebrations, I guess, but not until 2022. So I'm not sure what that's all about. But in any case, other things going on include, let's see, how do I, sorry guys, I lost where I was going here. LeBron, yes, we talked about it. I was out at Costco. So let's see what LeBron has here. LeBron,
just what the Lakers need, an injury, but they don't need an injury to
let's
that
see,
guy.
right there, high ankle sprain. That's how we know. And it's a contact injury. It's not that he's getting old. See, doesn't this look like the football injuries we've talked about before? This is not a basketball style low inversion ankle sprain. This is a high ankle sprain. We've talked about it. Look, is worse, longer return. He's not playing until April at the earliest, and we'll be lucky if it's early April. But so we're still doing analysis here. And let's end here with what happened here. I get sent this by video. Actually, toying with an idea. Maybe tell me what you guys think of this. People send me video all the time and say, analyze this, or this is my friend and this is the slip and fall. They've talked to me about it, but I've been shy about doing it. What if I actually signed up with, let's say, Cameo? Instead of, hi, I'm Dr. Chow, happy birthday, it's, hey, this is the analysis of the private video that you sent. And it'd be a lot of friends goofing on friends, I think. And I gave the money to charity, San Diego Sports Medicine Foundation. Toying with that idea. Essentially, it's what happened here. And by the way, this was sent over to me publicly. I hope the guy's okay, but let's look at his video here and go over this. And this will be our closer. What happened here? Here you go. I'll expand it. It'll play again and again. So right there, and you can see it. So that obviously is a pec rupture, right pec rupture. Pec muscle to the tendon. I guess Christian, my producer, is saying I should have warned people a little more. Sorry, guys. I should have warned you more. My bad. Okay. I apologize. I should have warned you more. I mean, I've seen it. Maybe I'm numb to it. I apologize. So going over the video again, and we'll freeze frame stop it. The muscle attached to the tendon pops, then the muscle contracts, and you see the defect. And your pec obviously means it's a pushing muscle. That's what he's using right there. And that's a lot of weight. I didn't even calculate it, but right there, right? And the most impressive thing about the video, I want to be this guy. I guess I know there's a guy here and there's a guy here, but all three of these guys, especially this guy looks like a beast, man. How does he catch him like that? I mean, this guy might be the hero here. I mean, honestly, we've had football players too with this where you where you end up getting trachea injuries because the bar bench pressing, it collapses and without a spotter, it goes onto you, right? So in any case. So anyways, sorry for you guys that little squeamish there. I thought Mike Renner was a good guy, good guest. Thank you to Mike Renner for coming on. Appreciate his work. And thank you for watching the Pro Football Doc podcast. We'll continue with some of these fun topics this off season. And good luck with your brackets and March Madness. And thanks for all the nice 5-star reviews wherever you listen to the podcast.